right, we're continuing our foray into historic markers here in Monroe County. This thing hates me. So we're here. We're looking for more and trying to get them all so you can learn along with us about the history of this county. So stay tuned. We're going to continue going. So stay tuned for more Monroe County. All right, we got several markers down along the building. We are outside the History Museum of Monroe County, Illinois. And this is a replica of the cannon. That's all I'm going to say on that. This is the corn stalk cutter. It's from circa 1919, and the corn stubble left over from the harvest presented problems for the farmer. Plowing would not cover up the corn stalks adequately, which interfered with the planting of next year's crop. Exposed stalks promoted insects and disease. This gave rise to the horse-drawn corn stalk cutter. Cool? All right, the next item is the John Deere 2-bottom plow, model 49C, circa 1927-1931. John Deere revolutionized farming with the introduction of his steel plow in 1837, which replaced fragile and inefficient wood and cast iron models. In 1875, the John Deere Company introduced the riding sulky plow, which eliminated the slow and tedious work of walking behind the plow. So, there it is. Our next item is the Sears and Roebuck Handiman Jr., a walk-behind tractor, circa 1934, Briggs & Stratton Model K engine. This tractor was used throughout the 1950s by Don Stump Sr. to till many gardens in Columbia, Illinois. And that's what it looks like, is a really big old tiller. Look at those spikes on those wheels. Well, that'd just dig right on down there and take you through anything, I bet. This is the International Harvester horse-drawn hay tedder. The hay tedder was introduced in the mid-1800s, and it turned over the cut hay, exposing it to the sun and wind, thereby speeding drying time in preparation for baling. So there's the tedder. And then the other piece over here is quite large, but it looks like a baler to me. It's a Twin City Thresher, circa 1919, manufactured by the Minneapolis Steel and Machinery Company. Separating the grain from the chaff and stalk via the threshing machine was one of the agriculture's greatest advancements. Threshing machines enabled the U.S. to become the greatest producer and exporter of grain in the world. So, a threshing machine, not a baler. It's cool. All right, we are still outside the History Museum here in Monroe County, and look at this bridge. It's a pretty cool story behind this little bridge here. And here's the sign that tells us a little bit about this. It says, "This beautiful walking bridge and wooden boardwalk were made possible by the hard work of two ambitious Boy Scouts as a project to help them earn the rank of Eagle Scout. This bridge and boardwalk now connect the History Museum of Monroe County and the Belefontaine House Museum, making it easier for residents and visitors alike to enjoy the beauty of this land and explore the rich history of where our state began." The walking bridge was the project of Andrew Christ, and the wooden boardwalk was a project of Joe Bush. So that's awesome. And the wooden boardwalk goes way up there towards the Belefontaine House. All right, we are on the grounds of the Belefontaine House and the Monroe County History Museum, and we're here for this little cabin here. And this is Moore's cabin. Captain James Moore was an officer of the Virginia militia during the American Revolution. Under the command of Colonel George Rogers Clark, he took part in an expedition to Illinois in 1778. Captain Moore led his group by boat to Kaskaskia in 1782, and after considerable explorations, here became the first permanent American settlement in the state of Illinois and in the Northwest Territory at a place the French called Belle Fontaine because of the beautiful spring that was there. The area became the founding settlement of the city of Waterloo. Captain Moore's home was at Belefontaine on a section of land given him by the government for his service in the Revolutionary War. The settlers were not here long before the native Indians became hostile. Thus, Moore was elected captain of the company, which was raised for the protection of the colony. At the time, Illinois was a county of Virginia, and therefore Captain Moore was directed by Patrick Henry, governor of Virginia, to establish a military post and command the Illinois militia. A fort, or blockhouse, was accordingly built at Belefontaine, which, during the Indian War, was one of the most frequent and noted places of resort. Also in this cabin, James Moore's sixth child of 8 total, Enoch Moore, was born in 1783, the first Caucasian American child born in the state of Illinois. Enoch was a delegate to the convention that framed the first constitution of the state of Illinois. 5 generations of Moores called this homestead of Captain James Moore their home. Many are buried in Moore's Cemetery just south of here. In 2015, Gabe Reeser re-chinked Moore's cabin for his Eagle Scout project. Chinking refers to a broad range of mortar or other infill materials used between the logs in the construction of log cabins and other log-walled structures. Gabe replaced all of the material between the original logs, thus helping preserve the cabin so it will stand solid for many years to come. We thank him and the Boy Scouts organization for helping preserve the rich history of our great city. All right, we are here at the La Belle Fontaine, the beautiful spring. The second American settlement in the Northwest Territory was established in 1782 by Captain James Moore, an officer of the American Revolution serving with the Virginia militia. He was commissioned by Governor Patrick Henry and sent George Rogers Clark to settle the Illinois County for Virginia. This settlement was situated on the French and Indian Trail between Kaskaskia and Cahokia. I think the original spring, which Belefontaine was named after, must be down there. I'm not going to climb down through all that, but because this is private property. So, even though it's a museum, I'm not going to do that. But the spring must have been located down in that little valley there. All right, we are here outside Belefontaine. It was one of the first settlements made by Americans in what is now Illinois. The earliest settlers included families of Revolutionary War veterans who had served with George Rogers Clark. Captain James Moore brought a band of pioneers from Virginia and Maryland in the winter of 1781 to 1782. The settlement took its name from a nearby spring the French called La Belle Fontaine, beautiful spring. The 1800 federal census showed that Belefontaine, with 286 inhabitants, had become the third largest community in the Illinois Territory. And then we know that this is way at where Waterloo stemmed from. But this is it's got a sign on it. It's a Centennial building. Right. All right, Belefontaine is right that direction, right up through where I'm standing is the Kaskaskia-Cahokia Trail. You can see right up through there. And right here on the trail is Potter's Field. It was a 2016 Eagle Scout project by Michael Rebolds of Boy Scout Troop 323. The Potter's Field is a term used for a place for the burial of unknown or indigent people. The expression Potter's Field derives from the Bible, referring to a field used for the extraction of potter's clay. Such land, useless for agriculture, could be used as a burial site. Here lies Potter's Field, where many men, women, and children were buried in unmarked graves dating back to 1897. To help preserve its history and for respect of those buried here, Michael Rebolds placed a wooden cross to honor the deceased and built a split rail fence around the perimeter of this cemetery. There are 66 people known to have been buried here. There are names listed. His project would not have been possible without the generous support given from the following organizations and individuals. And so there's a fence surrounding the actual stones, but here's the split rail fence and the cross he built. And as I said, again, it is right on the trail and would have been a place that those that died along the way were buried, and those first settling here in what in the future became Waterloo. We're here at the city park outside of Waterloo, and we're here for the several markers here. This is the first one. This is the Veterans Memorial for All Wars from the people of Monroe County, Illinois, in honor of those who perished, in tribute to those who served, in gratitude to those now serving. And then there's a list of major donors. They list those who are who died in the wars. There's World War I, the Korean War, World War II, and Vietnam. Is there anything on the other side? To those who gave the ultimate sacrifice. Oh, this is the back of that obelisk. It has all of the emblems for the different branches. And then this is the back of the first monument. Let us not forget, freedom is not free. Okay, this marker is for combat wounded veterans. And it is a two-sided marker. The other side. In honor of all who lost their lives or were wounded in combat in any war, all gave some, and some gave all. This marker is the POW MIA marker. They are not forgotten. It is dedicated to those who were imprisoned and in memory of those still missing. May we not forget their sacrifice. marker is Monroe County's World War I and World War II dead that are buried or memorialized in American overseas military cemeteries. And I'm just going to run down this list. Feel free to pause anywhere along. Alright, y'all, this has been the further adventures of Monroe County Historical Markers. I hope that you are continuing to stick with us through this. We're going to be continuing to find these markers and get them all done. So stay tuned for the next episode of Monroe County Historic Markers.